Hi everyone, Richard here at Calvin Wazoo, bringing you another vinyl tag edition today. Beautiful, gorgeous, sunny, but still quite cool day here as the Memorial Day weekend begins in Chicago. All right, so this vinyl tag is being offered by the channel and other fat bearded man talking about records, and I'll have a link in the down under. And this fellow has started offered a vinyl tag for 2021 that's based on country music. And, that's a little bit out of the mainstream, when you think about a lot of the different music channels in the vinyl community. Many tend to be more focused on the various genres of rock or jazz. And then another section on, orchestral music. Don't hear much about country music, folk music. I did one recently about folk music. I'm going to be doing one about soul, R&B and soul. There's another one. But anyway, I got the list of questions here, and I had to kind of blend the rules a little bit, bend a little bit, which is perfectly fine with this. I enjoy country music. I just admittedly do not have an awful lot. So there are some examples I'm going to show that are like crossing lines because, you think about even the Rolling Stones with the record Some Girls and the girl with the faraway eyes. That's a country song, even though it's the Rolling Stones. Nevertheless, let's get started here. And the first question is my oldest country record by release date. Well, the release date is not all that old, but the content in the record is. And it's actually one I used to have in my collection for a long time, but then I lost track of it. And that's this one here. Bob Wills and his Texas Playboys. This is a 24 great hits. That was a 1970s release by MGM. However, the songs, I believe, are primarily from 1940 to 1942. So inside here. And it was interesting because you see how it says sealed for your protection here. That's covering up, for some reason, covering up the fact that this is a white label promo, which they did the same thing on the labels. Again, this is a situation that, while it's nice that it's a white label promo, it's not necessarily something that, boosts it in value. But yeah, Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys, I used to have this record when I was in high school, and I really enjoyed it. It's two records, and the first part is, pretty much country western style. It gets a little more traditional roots music on side 4 in particular, a little more bluegrass tinge to it. But yeah, it's a great record. I used to have a Marty Robbins record as well, but that also was lost, and in trying to find that record again, it's the cover of him holding the 6 guns or whatever, I think. I don't see that one very often. And I don't think that's necessarily very collectible, and so it shouldn't be very expensive. But anyway, that's my oldest country record. in terms of the songs being the oldest, even though, well, it might even be my oldest country record, even given the release date. I think it was 1973. And then the other record I'm going to show that would come close is going to be 74 or 75. Number 2, the newest one in my collection. Well, the newest country record I bought several months back, but it's John Prine, Sweet Revenge. It is a reissue, but they're reissuing his catalog, which I am so thankful for, because the OGs of John Prine have been expensive while he was alive, and then they went up in price, right after he died, and they were really, really difficult to find, and even ones in just good condition were, the prices they were asking, to me, are frankly ridiculous. I don't know about anyone else, but the prices of some records are just really ridiculous right now in the vinyl marketplace. But anyway, Sweet Revenge, John Prine, for my newest acquisition. Now, a country music label was the next question, but I decided to do one specifically to who is my favorite female country vocalist, because I'm not familiar with country labels. I wouldn't know a country label if it walked up to me and said yeehaw. And I unfortunately don't have this on vinyl yet, if it does exist, and that is Patsy Cline in this greatest hits compilation. I really, really want to find it in vinyl, but it's called 12 Greatest Hits. And so there must be a vinyl, because you see down here it says AAD, so the original masters were analog. And it's got, Walking After Midnight, Sweet Dreams of You, Crazy, I Fall to Pieces, Back in Baby's Arms, She's Got You, You're Stronger Than Me. These, songs, I see other greatest hits compilations in the record stores, but they're not this one. And in fact, there was a double album of, I don't know, greatest hits or something like that I saw in the store just a couple days ago. And I was looking at the song list, and and I think Crazy was the only song from this on that record. And I want to get this. So I just never see it. Perhaps it doesn't exist, and I should check Discogs. Maybe it doesn't, exist in vinyl format, but it should if the original masters are analog. Okay, the next one is a non-US, or I guess non-US country artist. And I went with, this is kind of country. This is where I'm like bending the rules a little bit. But I'm going with Jake Bugg and Hearts That Strain. I mean, the record is just a series of various love songs that are either about, fulfilled love or unrequited love, very much in a traditional country style. I think it's close enough. I mean, you look at his cover here, and then you see on his shirt, this long highway that just goes off into nowhere, which I swear to God, that's a highway in Nevada, perhaps. And I've been on that highway and, and stopped at a similar location so that I could take a photo of just how empty. But, showing that emptiness in terms, it's in his chest, so in his heart. And in the back, you can see him composing there. He's got his guitar. So yeah, Jake Bugg, he's from, I always get them confused, Brighton and Bristol. The one south of London is that Bristol? And then Brighton is the one that's on the West Coast. Well, whatever. The one that's on the West Coast, just a little bit outside of there is where Jake Bugg is from. Clifton. He's from Clifton. All right. The next one is an old-timey or bluegrass. Okay. Well, I've got this. This is probably my next oldest record. This is an original copy of Old and in the Way on the Round Records label. Great, great bluegrass. And Old and in the Way is it's kind of like a traveling Wilburys, and maybe you could call it a super group. It's made up of listen, Jerry Garcia, David Grisman, Peter Rowan, John Kahn, and the legendary Vassar Clements on fiddle. Wonderful, wonderful, recorded live by the infamous Owsley Stanley, and really super nice recording. You know, he was a genius, not just at making LSD, but he was a genius at recording. So, Old and in the Way, my old-timey bluegrass. A representation of the largest artist group or whatever in my collection. And so, I mean, I don't have very many. I have 3 records of hers, but it's Emmy Lou Harris, and I chose this one, Blue Kentucky Girl. So, on the Warner label. I've known about Emmy Lou Harris and loved her music and her style ever since I saw her on an episode of Austin City Limits, but that was like decades ago. And it was only more recently, within the last year, maybe the last 2 years, that I started picking up releases by her. Love her music. Okay, now a live country album. I'm showing this instead of a country box set. So a live country album. Again, we're kind of going on the old-timey bluegrass music. Record I've shown before, The Country Gentleman, live in Japan. And of course, because it's live in Japan, I had to get the Japanese pressing. So, the 7 Seas stereo. Wonderful concert that they put on. They even play a bluegrass version of a Beatles song, which I think it was Yesterday. Might be the Beatles song that they play. I've got to pull this out and look aside. And yes, Yesterday is the Beatles song that they play, but a lot of other traditional ones on there, of course, being the Japanese pressing or Japanese release. So a lot of good stuff in here. Does have the lyrics to the songs, and also, you know, which is nice about, I don't know if they do it anymore, but with Japanese pressings and Western artists performing in Japan, they often will include, with liner notes that have lyrics, they'll also have the printed dialogue that the musicians are saying to the audience between songs, and that's in this as well. Okay, next one is, I guess there was, that's the live one. The box set one, excuse me, the question was about a live, so that one was within the rules. One of the box set, as I said, I don't have a box set, so instead I went with what's my favorite song, country song, by someone who is not necessarily considered a country musician. And the musical artist I'm going with is Neil Young. And one of my favorite songs is on this album. Everybody knows this is Nowhere, but the song is The Losing End. And I tell you, talk about a country song. I went into town to see you yesterday, but you were not home. So I talked to some old friends for a while before I wandered off alone. I mean, come on, that's country. And Neil Young, plays it and sings it with true heart. All right, next one is, I'm going to say, again, it was a duet, and I do not have any duets that I can think of. So I went with some acid country, and of course, then I would go with New Riders of the Purple Sage. Taking their name from the Western writer Zane Grey and his book, The Riders of the Purple Sage. This is another band that got a lot of help from Jerry Garcia and other members of the Grateful Dead. It's great music. I Don't Know You, Portland Woman, Henry, the famous song Henry, where they're, they've run out of marijuana, so they got to drive down to Acapulco to pick up some more to bring back into the country. This is 1970. I don't see a date on here. This is a repressing, but, we're talking early 1970s. So, yeah, we've got Jerry Garcia, Spencer Dryden, Mickey Hart from the Grateful Dead. Commander Cody plays piano on this as well. But the members of the New Riders, it's John Dawson, Marmaduke on the acoustic guitar, David Nelson, Dave Torbett, and then these other musicians, came in and helped. I have more records than Emmy Lou Harris, of New Riders of the Purple Sage, but I didn't include them as, the band that I have the most country, because they are a little bit, kind of that subgenre, not pure country, but country rock, acid rock. All right, so next, a record that you would recommend to someone new to country. And that would sort of depend on, what kind of music they seem to like the most. So I picked two choices. One that's a little more traditional in terms of country is Willie Nelson's Stardust. A wonderful classic album, and, by the amazing Willie Nelson. I think this is a good record to recommend to somebody if they're thinking about dabbling in country. If they like a little more rock or even rockabilly to their music, then I would recommend Linda Ronstadt. This particular one, Simple Dreams, a lot of great songs on here. It's So Easy, Sorrow Lives Here, and the other big hits, Poor, Poor, Pitiful Me, Tumblin' Dice, which I managed to see her perform that song with the Rolling Stones in Tucson, Arizona in 1978, I think it was. Linda Ronstadt being from Tucson, Arizona, and I was living there at the time, and she made a guest appearance on the stage with the Stones to sing that song. It was very, very cool. All right, next one. Favorite cover? Well, I'm going to go alter this a little bit with my favorite covers, a record of my favorite covers. And I'm going with the Cowboy Junkies, the Trinity Sessions. Just an amazing, amazing album. And lots of covers on here. Although there's some songs that both Margot and Michael Timmons, the brother-sister team, wrote, such as Misguided Angel. It's a beautiful song. But it's got Blue Moon on here, Mining for Gold, a traditional arrangement by, James Gordon. Gordon, is it? Yeah, Gordon. It's got Sweet Jane, Walkin' After Midnight, great Patsy Cline song. So, yeah, and this recording is just absolutely amazing. They're inside the Trinity Church in Toronto, Canada, recording this. So the acoustics are really super nice. And despite playing electric guitar, it's just, everything is just so gentle. It's very laid back, almost soporific vibe going through. The Cowboy Junkies, I really, really, really do like them. Now, the next one was to show a 7 or 10-inch record. Yeah, I'm kind of bending the rules a little bit because the 7-inch I want to show is Grateful Dead, and it's got Cumberland Blues and then Brown Eyed Women, on the other side. This was a special release that, the first time I ever went to a Cubs game, and you can look out my window and about a mile away is Wrigley Field. But I've never seen a game there in all the time that I lived in Chicago. This got me to buy a ticket, and so I could show up and get this. And wow, I tell you, in the secondhand market, it's if I consider the cost of the ticket and all that, even though this was a giveaway, this is still better than, I got it for less than what it is currently selling for. It's very cool on this like splatter vinyl. The Grateful Dead has roots in country and old-timey folk music. I mean, Jerry Garcia, his musical training was primarily in bluegrass. So yeah, and it was a very exciting game too. I can't remember who the Cubs were playing, but boy, they just blew them out. It was like, I think I left around the 7th or 8th inning because I didn't want to deal with the crowd exiting the stadium. But the Cubs had I think I saw 2 home runs. I think I might have there was a grand slam. It was just an amazing, amazing game. All right, next one. A small label. Again, I'm not real clear on what a small country label is. So I decided to go with what I think is going to be a fairly unknown band. And actually, I got a couple that would fill that category. But this one is Wilderness Road, which is a psychedelic acid country folk kind of group from Illinois. They are from, I believe, Champaign-Urbana area, which is where the University of Illinois is located. This is just on a Columbia label. But, and I just saw this in, the record store, and it had information that this was, they're not from Champaign. They are from Chicago. This is a band from Chicago. And so I thought, what the heck, I'll pick it up. So it was a blind buy, and it's pretty good. It is pretty good. The first side comes off as being very gospel in style, but it seems to be presented with irony. And then when you listen to the rest of the album, it's pretty clear that they were being ironic. All right, so that one, Wilderness. Now, a grail. This was kind of a grail for me, and then I found it. This is Ed Sanders' Truck Stop. Sanders' Truck Stop is the record on the Reprise label. Ed Sanders was a member of the Fugs. So this late 60s band that had kind of a country and beat poetry style to their music. This particular record I was on the hunt for a while because of the song called The Iliad on here, which is just this crazy, crazy, out there, very sung in the very much sung in the style of redneck, in a redneck voice, talking about beating up hippies and queers, and it's a hilarious song, and it's interesting too because on the record he rates all the songs with these like stoplight symbols as to which ones are safe to play on the radio and which ones are not. And so like if it's a pure green one, then you can play it on the radio. If it's red, the only red light song on this is the Iliad. And that's the red light song. No, you don't play this one on the radio. And then there's the borderline one, the yellow light, which is most FM stations can get away with it, but don't play it. Don't play at the country school. So crazy, crazy. When was this released? This might even be qualifying as my oldest record for its actual time of release. But I don't see readily the release date on there. Huh. Let me just take another gander and see if I... No, I don't. So I'd have to dig a little deeper on that one. Anyway, I have it now. So I guess there are other grails I need to look for in the country genre. All right, a country rock band. And this is the only release of theirs that I have, the Charlie Daniels Band and Fire on the Mountain. Loved this record when I was in high school. Saw Charlie Daniels 3 times. Amazing shows. But his style and his public persona began to change into a direction I just kind of lost interest in. So, but yes, long-haired country boy, Orange Blossom Special, New York City, King Size Rosewood Bed. Wow, damn good song. So that is my country rock album. Now for subgenre, I got 2. One of them is kind of a country blues record. And so I'm going with Burgers by Hot Tuna, which was a project initiated by Jack Cassidy and Jorma Kaukonen of Jefferson Airplane. And they, as far as I understand it, they really never thought it would catch on like it did, but they actually put out like 4 or 5 albums, of which I have 3. David Crosby shows up on this, but yeah, it's they went with kind of a countrified blues, electric blues, psychedelic blues kind of style. Their other records tend to be more acoustic, and this one is definitely a more polished, studio-produced release. The other subgenre of kind of hippie protest country, okay? And that is Mason Prophet. They put out a couple records for a short period in the 70s. They're from Champaign-Urbana, Illinois area, where the University of Illinois is from. Last night I had The Strangest Dream. That's not David Crosby on the cover. I know everybody who sees this goes, oh my God. But no, that's not them. It's on the Ampex Records. I don't know if that's a country label. But, in the country, the opening track on side 1 is definitely a very, very country aspect to it. But Eugene Pratt is a very powerful song and probably one of their more famous hits that came out. So anybody, Mason Prophet, good stuff if you like country acid rock, and also something that has a little, more front-facing social message. All right, and then the last one, the question is a repressing that I got. And I opened with a record. Well, I didn't open with it. He was the second record show to John Prine. But the debut, John Prine, when this was reissued, again, like I was saying, there were vendors that wanted like $60 for a record that was like good, and I wanted something, hopefully at least very good, VG or VG plus, but they were like approaching $100, and I was kind of like, eh. And then when he died, I was like, oh my God, now the prices are going to go up, and they did. But then they reissued his catalog, so yes, I bought this reissue, this repressing. Great classic album. Really like John Prine, and we'll be picking up more of his catalog, as it continues to be available in repressings. So there's my country music vinyl tag. So any comments or thoughts about any of the selections I showed, please leave a comment in the down under. If you know of any other, especially if you know, there is a vinyl version of this someplace, hey, let me know. Because I would really like to get that. And as always, remember to pray for the people inside your head, for they won't be there when you're dead.